Good morning. Today is Tuesday. I think it's February 6th, 2024. And it's probably 8:30 in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we're continuing reading Knowing God's Plan by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato. And this is, it's a summary of chapter 5. The general nature of evil and its effect on man. And there's 3 headings here, and we're in heading 2. Okay, what we need to focus on now is that before God brought the world into actual existence, He prepared everything on the level of the divine emanations. He prepared everything on the level of the divine emanations. I think this refers to my metaphor as He kind of brought this big box of everything in. Step 1. Here's this box. Boom. Prepared everything on the level of the divine emanations. Only after all these preparations were completed did the world come into actual existence in such a way that it would progress from stage to stage as decreed by the divine will. Okay, and then it says, next paragraph, the first divine emanation that brought into being the general composition of nature was designed to generate imperfection and evil. So that's the box. That's the first box that I'm talking about. It says here, the first divine emanation that brought about, the first divine emanation that brought into being, this first box, boom, that brought into being the general composition of nature was designed to generate imperfection and evil. Generate. The second emanation was designed to restrain evil within the necessary limits in order to bring into a being actual entities consisting of good and evil. These entities would be able to survive for the time required to fulfill their task. So, the first divine emanation that brought into being the general composition of nature. Okay, so this general composition of nature, this box, was brought in and as so I think what I've read before now, it talked about this box and then it was unpacked. And I believe during the unpacking stage is when what they call tohu, Tohu, where the Lord pulled back the emanation stage by stage, level by level, until it was like almost all the way gone. Maybe it was gone, I don't know, or almost all the way gone, to where there's just evil and darkness. And then He started building it back in again, building back in His holiness, His divinity. But He stopped. I think, okay, so I read here where it said when He was pulling back, He stopped. And then I believe it's saying that He started putting it back in again. And again, this is an example of us starting off with perfection, beautiful emanation of God. So we are not following a path back, or we're not going on a path where we've never experienced perfection, and we're like creation started with this evil and darkness, and we're heading in that direction towards the light and perfection and divinity. But we started off with perfection, light, and divinity, and he pulled that all away to this darkness. So it's beautiful that we are, our travels, our journeys are going back to that perfection. We've already been there. We, at some level, know what it feels like. The first divine emanation and brought into being the general composition of nature was designed to generate imperfection and evil. Was designed, this pull back more and more and more till the divinity is like, you can't see it anymore. It's concealed. It's like, where is it? It's like, well, all I see is what's left. It's like the shell of divinity. I don't even know if that's a good term to use, but it's considered evil and darkness when you pull all of that beauty away from it and all that love and light and everything. The first divine emanation that brought into being the general composition of nature was designed to generate imperfection and evil. So once that imperfection and evil is like the only thing that's left that we're, that exists, that we're seeing, or is. So anyways, new sentence. The second emanation was designed to restrain evil within the necessary limits in order to bring into being actual entities consisting of good and evil. So it states that as God was putting it back in, the divinity, and coming back towards the perfection of the light and beauty and love and all that, sounds like he stopped at a place to where evil is within boundaries, which means evil cannot operate outside those boundaries. I'm going to assume that when it was all the way pulled away, tohu, that evil was just like no boundaries. It's like nothing could exist except evil in that condition. And I'm assuming it means that as God is bringing back this light and going back towards the light, and then he stopped, he did it to a point to where evil is mixed in with the light and goodness, and there are boundaries for evil that evil cannot operate outside of, right? Again, the second emanation was designed to restrain evil within the necessary limits, in order to bring into being actual entities consisting of good and evil. Isn't that interesting? God started off with all good, no evil. Then he brought it back to all evil, no good. And then he started bringing it back towards good again, to where he gets to these necessary limits in order to bring into being actual entities consisting of good and evil. Beautiful combination, this duality of good and evil. These entities, good and evil, these entities would be able to survive for the time required to fulfill their task. So the time required. No time and space in spirituality. So this, I'm assuming time and space is included in the first divine emanation. That's all part of that. These entities would be able to survive for the time required to fulfill their task. This world that we've been living in all this time, with this good and evil that are sharing existence with us, sharing the space with us, time with us, serving as curriculum, serving as the work involved for us to progress our souls. These entities would be able to survive for the time required to fulfill their task. Ultimately, however, they would be subject to temporary destruction. In the end, all evil will be removed, with the result that everything will become perfected and eternal. This whole process is built into the system of divine emanations with great precision. Well, you can say that again. Ultimately, however, they would be subject to temporary destruction. So it says they would be subject to temporary destruction. So I'm assuming that it's talking about in order to bring into being actual entities consisting of good and evil. Assuming that they're talking about good and evil. So ultimately, however, good and evil will be subject to temporary destruction. So I guess, what does that mean? Temporary destruction. Does that mean that as we experience life and we are experiencing goodness and then that goodness goes away? It's part of the nature of the design of goodness that we can experience and then it moves away, it goes. I mean, there's cliches about that. Right? Everything good must end or something like that. And also for evil, when things are bad and evil that we're experiencing, it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I mean, a lot of the times it's the next morning when we go to sleep, right? Ultimately, however, they would be subject to temporary destruction. I don't know. That's how I'm kind of looking at it right now. That this duality back and forth. And it's so interesting because if we choose to worship goodness, basically physically worship it, and that is I will spend all my time chasing good, that good feeling, the good things that happen to me, and I'm going to reject all the bad. Well, the bad's going to be there no matter what because it's part of this world. And so what could happen to me if I do that is I'm only going to be happy when I'm experiencing good, and when I'm experiencing the bad, the evil, I'm going to be miserable. That's if I choose to live in the consciousness of I only want good. And if I were to choose to live in the consciousness of I only want bad, who would do that? I guess I could put it this way. If I choose to embrace the bad, kind of like from a place of what's the use? It's always going to be bad. Then when good happens, I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy that at all because it's just going to go away and bad's going to return. So this existence of the world is bad, it's a bad place. Gosh, I guess we can end up feeling very comfortable when we're in the darkness and the bad space. As far as comfortable, as far as that's my identity, that's my home, that's where I feel most comfortable. And when something good happens to me, I'm like, whatever. Like people are like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful, you won the lotto. It's like, yeah, whatever, it's going to be gone before long. So, okay. Ultimately, however, they will be subject to temporary destruction. In the end, all evil will be removed. I'm assuming that means that in the end, we will be back to the place that God started with. And that is, it's perfect, it's beauty, no evil at all, no pulling back. It's all been put back, with the result that everything will become perfected and eternal. Yeah. And I'm assuming this means that, we might be back there, but it's going to be different because our souls are going to be more experienced, right? Our bodies experienced? I don't know. We leave our bodies, then we come back again and we take on another body. So I don't know, but the soul's everlasting. And the soul, I believe, has this memory, right? So my last lives, the soul has learned from that. My soul is different right now because of all the lives I've lived. So the souls are retaining the experience. So that's what would be different, right? Is that we would be in the light, basking in this beautiful light of our Creator, but all of our souls are going to be more experienced. It just makes me wonder why. What are you doing, God? Why are you making this army, for lack of a better term, of souls who are more experienced over a 6,000 year period of time? What are we going to be doing? Or is it just that our love with you is going to be so exalted because of all this experience? This whole process is built into the system of divine emanations with great precision. Boy, you can say that again. 15 minutes, that's a good place to stop. We're on page 300 right now. Love and light. Joy.